Intro music fades. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We all love a good scare, right? That feeling of curling up on the couch, popcorn in hand, ready to jump out of our skin while watching a horror movie. But have you ever stopped to think, could this actually happen? Well, sometimes the most terrifying stories aren't born in a writer's imagination. They're ripped straight from the headlines. Today we're diving deep into the chilling real-life events that inspired some of the most iconic horror films ever made. So, dim the lights, check over your shoulder, and let's get started. First up, a movie that made an entire generation afraid of the water. Jaws. Steven Spielberg's 1975 masterpiece about a killer great white shark terrorizing a New England beach town wasn't just a random fish story. The film's author, Peter Benchley, was heavily inspired by a series of shark attacks that occurred along the New Jersey shore back in the summer of 1916. Over a terrifying 12-day period, 4 people were killed, and 1 was seriously injured in a string of attacks that baffled scientists. No one at the time believed a single shark could be responsible, or that they would even venture so close to shore. The media frenzy and public panic that ensued were immense, creating a nationwide fascination and fear of these ocean predators. While the film took creative liberties like making the shark a singular, almost demonic force of nature, the core terror, the idea of a hidden predator lurking just beneath the waves of a summer paradise, came directly from this real-life tragedy. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes nature itself can be more frightening than any monster we can dream up. Now let's venture from the ocean into the isolated, eerie world of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The 1974 film is infamous for its gritty, relentless horror and its unforgettable villain, Leatherface, a chainsaw-wielding cannibal who wears a mask made of human skin. While the chainsaw-loving family was a product of fiction, the character of Leatherface himself drew inspiration from a real and arguably more disturbing figure, Ed Gein. Gein was a quiet, unassuming man who lived in isolation on a farm in Plainfield, Wisconsin, during the 1950s. After his arrest for the murder of a local hardware store owner, police searched his home, and what they found was a house of absolute horrors. Gein hadn't just committed murder, he had been exhuming graves from local cemeteries for years. He used the remains to create gruesome trophies and household items, bowls made from skulls, chair seats woven from human skin, and yes, even masks. He wasn't part of a cannibalistic family and he didn't use a chainsaw, but his macabre acts of defiling the dead and creating objects from human remains directly inspired the skin mask-wearing Leatherface, as well as another famous horror character we'll get to later. The real story of Ed Gein is a chilling look into a deeply disturbed mind, proving that human depravity can be far scarier than any fictional monster. From a farmhouse in Wisconsin, we travel to a supposedly haunted house in New York. The story of the Amityville Horror is one of the most famous and controversial haunting cases in American history. In 1975, the Lutz family moved into a beautiful Dutch colonial house on Ocean Avenue in Amityville, Long Island. They got it for a bargain price, and for good reason. Just 13 months earlier, it had been the scene of a horrific crime where Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family. The Lutzes claimed that from the moment they moved in, they were tormented by paranormal phenomena. They reported strange odors, swarms of flies in the dead of winter, cold spots, mysterious slime oozing from the walls, and even levitation. After just 28 days, they fled the house in terror, leaving all their possessions behind. Their story became a best-selling book, and then the iconic 1979 film. While many skeptics have since debunked the Lutzes' claims, suggesting they fabricated the story for financial gain, the film captured the public's imagination. It tapped into a universal fear. What if the perfect family home, a symbol of safety and security, was actually a place of unimaginable evil? Whether you believe the story or not, the real-life tragedy that preceded it and the subsequent claims of a haunting created a modern-day ghost story that continues to terrify audiences. Now, let's check into a hotel you might not want to leave. Or rather, a hotel that might not let you leave. Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 masterpiece, Psycho, shocked audiences with its story of Marion Crane, who embezzles money, and ends up at the desolate Bates Motel, run by the peculiar Norman Bates and his domineering mother. The shocking twist that Norman himself is the killer, dressing as his deceased mother whom he keeps preserved in the fruit cellar, was revolutionary for its time. And who was the inspiration for the polite yet unhinged Norman Bates? None other than our old friend Ed Gein. Just like Norman, Gein had an incredibly intense and unhealthy attachment to his domineering mother, Augusta. After she passed away, Gein's isolation and twisted grief led him down his dark path, attempting to preserve her in his own way by surrounding himself with macabre crafts made from exhumed female bodies. While Gein wasn't a motel owner and didn't have a split personality in the same way, the core psychological elements, the overbearing mother, the disturbed son, and the shocking hidden secrets, were drawn directly from Gein's real-life case. Hitchcock masterfully translated the grotesque reality of Gein's crimes into a psychological thriller that explored the darkness lurking behind a seemingly normal facade. Next, we confront a fear that has kept people awake at night for centuries: demonic possession. The Exorcist, released in 1973, is widely considered one of the scariest movies of all time. It tells the story of a young girl named Regan who becomes possessed by a powerful demon, leading two priests to perform a harrowing exorcism. The film was so intense that it reportedly caused fainting and vomiting in theaters. But author William Peter Blatty didn't just invent this terrifying tale. He was inspired by a 1949 newspaper article about the alleged demonic possession and exorcism of a 14-year-old boy from Maryland, known by the pseudonym Roland Doe. For several weeks, the boy's family reported strange occurrences: scratching noises from the walls, a levitating bed, and objects flying across the room. The boy himself began speaking in a guttural voice, and scratches and welts would appear on his skin, sometimes forming words. A team of Jesuit priests eventually performed over 20 exorcism rituals on the boy over several months. The priests documented the events in a diary, which detailed the boy's violent reactions and the inexplicable phenomena they witnessed. While many have since offered psychological or medical explanations for the boy's behavior, the case remains one of the most well-documented exorcisms in modern history, providing the terrifying foundation for a film that changed the horror genre forever. Finally, let us talk about a film that tapped into our primal fear of being hunted: The Hills Have Eyes. Wes Craven's brutal 1977 film follows the Carter family, whose road trip goes horribly wrong when they become stranded in the Nevada desert and are stalked by a family of savage cannibals living in the hills. It's a raw, terrifying story of survival against all odds. Believe it or not, this story has roots in a legend from 16th century Scotland, the tale of Alexander Sawney Bean. According to the legend, Sawney Bean was the head of a 48-member clan that lived in a cave by the coast for 25 years. They survived by ambushing, robbing, and murdering travelers, bringing their bodies back to the cave to be dismembered and eaten. The legend claims they were responsible for the deaths of over 1,000 people before they were finally discovered and brought to justice. While historians debate whether Sawney Bean and his cannibalistic clan were real or just folklore created to demonize the Scottish people, the story itself is pure nightmare fuel. Wes Craven took this ancient legend of a feral, cave-dwelling family preying on unsuspecting travelers and transplanted it into the desolate, sun-baked American desert, creating a modern survival horror classic. It proves that some terrifying stories are so powerful, they can echo through centuries and still make our blood run cold. So there you have it. From the Jersey Shore to the Scottish caves, some of the most frightening movies we know and love are deeply rooted in real-world events and legends. It's a fascinating and a little unsettling to realize that the line between fiction and reality can sometimes be terrifyingly thin. It makes you wonder what other stories are out there, just waiting to be told. What do you think? Are there any other horror movies based on true stories that I missed? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark side of history, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the strange and unusual. Thanks for watching, and sweet dreams.